from Broadcom, service and product announcements, and two really good lightning talks. But first up, I'd like to ask you all a question. And the question is about meeting software. And the question is, what is your preferred meeting software? Zoom, GoToMeeting, or something else? So looks like the most common response is 36% that don't have a preference. And then Teams is clearly conveyed, probably because of a lot of business corporate people. 14% Zoom, 11% GoToWebinar, and 6% other. So I want to thank you very much for that insight. And now I'd like to continue on with tell you about today's agenda. So I'd like to welcome Roger Griffith, the president of our worldwide user community. Roger will be talking about conference survey results, community discussions that we've had since the October conference, plans for the entire 2022 year, and then the next conference, which will be in the spring of 2023. He'll then turn it back to me. I have a support statement from Broadcom and Plex, Plex 2E, and also we are announcing a new aggregation license program, and also a managed application service model, and as ways to best serve our community. And then I'll be turning over the reins to Andrew, who has a lightning talk about a managed messaging integration with Twilio, and then Carl Haggard, modern IDE for IBM I, and a new product version of that today too. So you're amongst the first to see that. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to Roger, who will introduce the speakers and has a few more words to say.
Thank you, Mark. Today, our speakers are Andrew Leggett, and he's going to be showing us some really amazing things that are being done with this new messaging feature that CM First is developing, and we are using at Eilson Systems Products, and also Carl Haggard from Remain Software, and he's going to do a lightning talk as well. And we have Summer Proch, and she is our event coordinator, and you've heard from Mark O'Brien and myself. We're really excited to be with you today. We want to thank you for joining. Okay, we sent out a survey a little while back to get some information from the user community, and here's just some of the feedback that we got from you from that survey. And one of them was, we were asking whether or not you wanted the next conference to be either on-site only, virtual, or a hybrid of both. And the consensus is that we want to continue to offer a hybrid solution. So you'll have the option of either attending in person or remotely. And if you choose to go in person, there was two favorites that you guys voted for, and that is to hold the next conference in the spring of 2023, and it would be either in Austin or the Miami area. So it'll be one of those two most likely, and of course you'll have the option of attending the conference remotely, just like we did last year. Okay, so just a little discussion about what we have planned for this year, 2022. We will continue to offer quarterly webinars, just like we have been doing. We would like to offer a breakout session, which would be Spanish or any other language only, and we would need breakout leaders for that. So we're certainly open to offering those tracks. So if that's something that you're interested in, please let us know, and we will work with you to get that organized. So the other thing we mentioned, the poll question, what kind of platform to use for our webinars, and it looks like most of you don't have a preference, followed by Teams. So the next webinar that we do very well may be in a different platform other than GoToMeeting. We're going to continue to offer hands-on training opportunities throughout 2022. I also would like to mention that we have created a new LinkedIn group. You're going to see a slide in a few minutes ago that will show you how to sign up for that group from LinkedIn. So we currently offer Facebook. We've got a group. We've got Twitter. There's a group out there, and now we've got a new group for LinkedIn. So all kinds of opportunities to collaborate and be a part of this user community. We're going to show you some feedback that we got from the 2021 conference that was held in Austin, Texas, and offered remotely as well. And we're going to have a little bit of discussion about how to improve this hybrid experience. So last year was the first time that we've done a hybrid. Prior to that, it was either everyone was either on site, and in 2020 we had everyone is virtual. So this hybrid thing is really kind of a different animal. And so what we'd like to do is just kind of have a little bit of discussion about how to make the hybrid option as good as it can possibly be. So there's always room for some improvement over what we did last year. Okay, so there is the LinkedIn group. I would encourage you to go and get registered and be a part of that group. Okay, so we're going to do a poll question now that is going to ask you if you would like to do a breakout session in your national language, anything besides English. So let's do that poll question now. So would you like breakout sessions in your national language? Yes, you would, or English only is working for you. I can't even read the last one. So if you can, then I'm guessing you probably want a breakout session in whatever language that's in. And the vast majority of you have selected that English only works for you, 88%. We've got 13% that would like to have a breakout session in another language. And I'm guessing everyone is like me. They can't even read that third one. They don't even know what it says. So no one has responded with
Esperanto.
All right. So here's some exciting results here. So we sent out a survey to get information from the user community, and one of the things that we asked you was for each of the 4 tracks that we offered at the Austin conference was, what was your favorite session? So we've got MVP, most valuable presenter. We've also referred to it as the best session, and so we have 4 winners of that for each of the tracks. So for the Plex track, we've got Andrew Leggett. For the 2E track, we've got Eamon Foley and Russell Berkeley. The Spanish track winner is Daniel Cruz, and the technology track was Bob Graybill. Now, the exciting thing about that is not only are you the winner, but you will be receiving a plaque accordingly. And that plaque, you'll want to put it up next to your diploma, your PhD, whatever on your wall, because it's that significant. Congratulations to those winners. They put a lot of work into it. Okay, so we're going to talk just a little bit about the official Broadcom statement regarding CA Plex and 2E support. So we were hoping to have a roadmap from Broadcom to announce at this webinar, and Broadcom has taken a position that their official policy is they do not want to provide a specific roadmap. Their position is they're going to continue to support both 2E and Plex, both in terms of operating system and database compatibility, bug fixes, and enhancements. I guess that's the good news, is that they're still supporting the product. And of course, the news we were hoping for is that they would actually, publish a roadmap, which they're not willing to do at this point. So I think as a user community, our position on this thing is that we certainly have some degree of leverage on Broadcom. So I think that we need to work together and try and encourage Broadcom to provide us something in terms of a roadmap so that we can kind of see what the future is of the product. But it's certainly not the news that we were hoping for, but it's also better than the alternative where they would officially drop the products and we would be completely on our own. So it's kind of a good news, bad news thing here. You're going to see a slide here in a few minutes that Mark is going to talk about. That's going to discuss some new alternatives for how you receive support on the product. So at this point, I'd like to turn it back over to Mark, and he's going to talk about some new licensing options available to the community.
Yes.
So Mark.
Yes, thank you, Roger. So yeah, the good news here is that Broadcom went through a period where they were really just having very, very limited distribution. They were making revenue commitments from 25K to 100K annual, minimums, so forth. So I'm pleased to announce that between CM First and then A&I Solutions, that we can now provide Broadcom maintenance renewals, even if they're expired, basically it's a new aggregation subscription agreement. And it offers some nice savings over the minimums, which is kind of the old way of doing things. A&I is a broad supplier of CA Broadcom product lines, and they rely on us for 2E and Plex information and contact. So basically, our advice is if you're already on maintenance, stay on it. Please, keep paying the bills so that you can get access to the latest versions, so forth. You do understand if you're not in the latest version, they're not going to, Broadcom will give you nice words, but they're not going to really be able to do anything to help. If you're not and things have expired, then I can help. Just contact me and we will find a way to get you back on support. And if you're not on support and you don't care about being on support, then we wish you the best. And you've already figured out how to live without Broadcom support. And just there's my email address for that. So now, having said that, I have an inevitable poll question. What are your plans to stay on Broadcom maintenance? So do we have our results? Look like the bulk with this on, yeah, the bulk are on and staying on. So that was 51%, over half of you, and but 30% unsure about it. So again, if you're unsure and you want to have a conversation, we'll give you a straight information there on that. So great, thank you very much for that. Getting very nice participation from the audience today on these questions, which is good. So everyone's paying attention. Cool. So next, I wanted to announce there's a new program. We get a lot of calls from people who either have their 2-year Plex talent is retiring or moving on, and so they typically have they need engineering services. They might need professional training, and so it's kind of everything. Some people say we don't have anybody else on board. Can you help us just manage the business of what we've got? And then other people are actively adding to the system and investing in the 25 years of customization that they've invested in. So the managed application services covers the 2E and Plex solutions. It basically is engineering services on demand. And then we have different tiers. We have people that just want to have the contract, and then they might need us for a few hours here and there. We've got other people that kind of want a relationship where they want a half-time person over the course of a year, so say 900 hours or so. And then we've got other people that want they want a full person. Some people want several people. Some people need people for a couple of months for a specific project, and then they don't need anybody for months. So we've got a level to fit any type of scenario that you want to train on us. We do have you will have direct access to engineers, which know your application, they know your dev environment. We do also include CM Evolve IT, which is a great diagnostic tool. Can look at business rules, forward and backward path analysis, and so forth. We can also bundle additional software licenses and uplifts in that too. So it covers all the products that we have and some third party products also. And then we have a discounted way of accessing not only our local USA engineering staff, but you can also get access, depending on the kind of work that we want to do, to remote teams that are both located both in Central America and Southeast Asia. And these are relationships that we've had for years with these companies, and they're quite reliable and quite capable of producing really, really good work. We always have one of our local engineers providing oversight for those people, so they'll do the work and then we'll check it back into us, and if it looks good, then we'll share it with the customer. Also, we've got development and product, cloud hosting for IBM, for Windows, for Linux, and you probably know about our modernization, which is basically a model-to-model transform from CA2E to CA Plex with a Java backend. So that's the kind of what's going on. I'd like to turn over the narrative now to our lightning talk, and let's get in and start talking technical with Andrew Leggett and the Twilio SendGrid and Plex solution.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Okay, so yeah, I'll get started. So we talk about managed messaging, which is our CM first solution to utilize SendGrid, SendGrid platform with Plex. So I'll start off by talking about SendGrid. I'm going to cover all these topics here, but I'll be explaining what it is, what it does, and how we use it. And then I'll go into an overview of the Plex solution that we've developed and talk about that in more detail. Okay, so Twilio SendGrid, it's a large-scale distribution platform for messages. Big platform, got over 80,000 customers, obviously some high-profile names here. And they have the infrastructure to send over 1 trillion messages a year. So mainly emails, SMS messages, but they do have support for multimedia, text messages, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and other integration, though our Plex solution is mainly based around the emails and SMS. So for these messages, SendGrid provides template capability. So there are dynamic templates, which are the advanced ones that we see here. And these can be as sort of simple or complex as you want. There's a web designer where you can sort of drag and drop text, images, links, all sorts, social networking, Facebook, LinkedIn links, etc. And they also provide unsubscription options. And on the other side, we have static templates as well, which are simple text-based templates. All these will allow you to insert parameters in there. For the dynamic templates, there's conditional formatting so that the style and the content can be conditionally created individually for each recipient. So lots of features there to take advantage of. Another big feature with SendGrid is message tracking. So they track the whole life cycle of a message once it's been sent to a participant, so they can determine if it's been delivered or not, and if not, for whatever reason. They can also determine if an email's been opened by the recipient, if the recipient's clicked on a link in the email. And all this is valuable information, for example, for marketing. If you're trying to track customer engagement or effectiveness, all this information is available to you, and it's available to you instantly, and I'll talk about that later on. Also, if the user doesn't want to be receive these and they report it as spam, or if they want to unsubscribe, SendGrid will manage that and make sure that we don't pester those recipients who'd rather not receive them. So SendGrid managed the whole platform for you. So it's scalable. So, maybe you only send a few emails a month, but at Christmas or Black Friday or whatever, you may have a increased demand. It can scale to your demand. They'll manage the servers for you, so you don't have to have your own SMTP server and worry about hardware maintenance, software updates, or security patches. It's all done for you. They also manage the unsubscription options as well. They offer tiered plans depending on your usage, and there is a free tier available if you want to try it without risk. So you can get up to 100 messages a day with some reduced functionality. So they provide an API which lets you access their features from your own applications. So you can send emails, add attachments, retrieve tracking statistics and other information there. And they provide what's called a webhook for sending you the tracking information as it happens. So a webhook is what they call a reverse API. SendGrid will communicate directly with your server to let you know when, for example, a particular recipient receives an email or opens a link. That information is sent to your server instantly, and you can update your tables, etc. So many uses for this. Obviously, marketing. A lot of valuable features in there for marketing. But if you just send out newsletters, or maybe you send out like an alert text message if a process isn't running, or other areas, maybe like shipping notifications, workflow, just anywhere where you can you want to send a message and get it delivered immediately. There's plenty of places where that's useful. So the Plex solution we have, it can access the SendGrid functionality. So it'll send and receive text messages, email messages. You maintain your own contacts, set up static templates, though it also has support to utilize the dynamic templates as well, and all the other features that are available with SendGrid. And we use an intermediate API to handle the webhooks, and I'll talk about that on the next slide. So originally, the solution we developed was for a WinC client, but for the conference we did a Java version, and that would also work with web client as well. And we haven't done the .NET client, but there's nothing unique to that 20 platforms that would prevent that. And there is a Java server portion of this, which I'll talk about. So this is the architecture of the WinC solution that we developed. Most of the hard work is done over here on the right side. So we have a Java server, which is the Plex server functions, which talks to the database here. And then we have this intermediate API, which handles all the communication between our application and SendGrid. So we update the tables related to the messages, like recipients and attachments, parameters, etc. And then we call the web API and let it know that we want to, let's say, send a message, and that will send out requests with the data from our database to SendGrid. And then whenever there is like a change in status of the messages, So someone opens an email or something gets delivered, SendGrid will send this webhook to our API, which has access to the same database tables. It will update those, and they are available to our application. So I won't go into a lot of detail, but in the model itself, we have various entities, such as the recipients and the templates we're going to use. So they're all just data tables that are maintained with Plex maintenance functions. And there's functions to set the parameters for a message going out, make the actual request to SendGrid, and then there's functions to retrieve the latest tracking information from there. And yeah, just to sort of finish off with just a few slides that we did for the workshop at the recent conference. So we had a screen here to just modify static templates. So static template is just text with some placeholders for parameters. So set these up, and then we'd set up a function to populate these parameters like first name, conference description, etc. And then we had a screen where you can make the actual requests, and you just pick your recipients, pick the template you want to use, and make the request, and that will send that to our intermediate API, which sends it to SendGrid, and the messages actually go out. And then we can also review the tracking, so we can see for a message all the recipients, what their current status is, whether it's been delivered, opened, etc. And we can also view the parameters that have gone out. And yep, that was my review of the managed messaging. So I'll hand it back.
Great, Andrew. Thank you very much for that presentation. And I hope some of you people might see that there's a Twilio integration in the future. And now our next lightning talk is going to be Carl Haggard, who's got a new product announcement to talk about for all of us as well too. So
thank you very much, Mark.
Carl.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you. So good morning, good afternoon to all of you, wherever you are. Very nice to be here and join Mark and John, Andrew, Roger and Summer. And I'd just like to take a few minutes to show you my workplace. So as Mark introduced, I'm Carl Haggard. I'm the Managing Director of Remain here in the USA. We're a software house based out of the Netherlands in Europe, an IBM-centric company. Been working in the ecosystem for 25 to 30 years now, and very much in the DevOps space, right? We build development tools, change management, API stuff. And today I'm going to take a few minutes to show you my workplace. My workplace is our fully integrated development environment for the IBM I. It's not a full-blown replacement for RDI. You know, there's a vast amount of tool set in the RDI space that we don't try to compete with. We're looking really at this from a development view, right? This is firmly focused on the developer, the ability to do the normal development jobs. My workplace has been around for a while, right? It's Eclipse Based, which means that it can work with most anything out there in the Eclipse ecosystem. Our CTO Wim is one of the Eclipse committers, so we're firmly committed to that platform, and we move forward as and when Eclipse does. It's purely based on your laptop. No server code needed to be deployed, so a very powerful tool if you're connecting to multiple boxes. Right? It lets you connect without doing anything, providing you've got access to the server. You're fine, and comes with all of the normal stuff you'd expect, right? Remote Explorer, multiple connections. You can do all your development tasks, work with your artifacts on the system. So fully functional, really from the developer's point of view. As I said, Eclipse based, right? That gives us all of the flexibility that Eclipse brings. You can drag and drop, move things around, resize, double click on the heading of the little window you're looking at, and it will maximize, double click, and it will go back to exactly where you found it. You can customize all of this, and obviously it's all remembered. Right? Very lightweight client that sits on your box. And because it's Eclipse based, that gives us the functionality to be able to use all of the other Eclipse plugins out there, right? A massive Eclipse marketplace, lots of stuff out there that's available. So as a quick example, one of the challenges with working outside of RDI is the ability to debug. And because JT Open is also Eclipse based, you can install JT Open and use the Java toolkit to run debug, and that integrates perfectly well with my workplace. And you can go ahead, debug your program, debug your interactive job, your server job, right? Whatever you're running, depending on your footprint and your application stack. And you can run that perfectly well from your laptop without needing, again, to do anything on the server side of life. So Eclipse gives us a lot of functionality there. And, you know, JT Open, just an example. Lots of other stuff out there in the marketplace that we can connect to too. So for most people running on the IBM I, we're sitting there in a traditional AS400 view, for want of a better word, right? Most people are still running in their QRPG LE source, QCL LE source, QDDS source. So the Remote Explorer gives you the functionality to move around your server, move around your libraries, move around your source members. You can cover everything that you would from that traditional IBM I environment via the Remote Explorer. We also have the IFS Explorer. For those of you who've moved from a development standpoint using the traditional Q LE source source members, if you've now moved into storing your source on the IFS, so you're doing more SQL style development or PHP or Ruby or Java, store that all in the IFS. You have the capability to manage your IFS, edit your files from there, just the same as you would from the traditional standpoint of the Q source files. As I said, we can display source, edit source. In the center there, I just selected a test source. There's my source member popping up. That side, I've got the outline. The outline enables us to click on any one of the artifacts that shows up there, jump straight to it in the source. You can obviously do all of your normal searching, but the outline gives a quick way to jump around, particularly in large programs, right? If you haven't got to the modularization standard yet, if you're still in those old monolithic RPG code, it's a very powerful way to jump around and move between your variables, your subroutines, your prototypes. Within the edit source, you have the capability to prompt. We've got the full set of RPG commands there, providing you're not back in the RPG2 world. So RPG3, RPG4, ILE, everything will prompt and offer you the autocomplete aspect of it, so you can fill out your new line of code without any challenge. You can jump around in the source, save it, right? And everything's running on the authority that you have on the server itself. So you can only edit source that you're authorized to. So again, in that same way that if you're not authorized to the production source, you're not going to be able to edit it, but the source in your own library you can edit, right? Following full traditional IBM I standards. One of the very powerful things that's available sitting in my workplace is the ability to create templates and snippets. So you can create a template that will give the user, the developer, a way to say, create a new object based on, and we'll fill out that new source member with your template. And then the developer can go through and customize it as he needs. Within that, you can also use code snippets. And there's a little example there. So I've got a couple of snippets, a chain, right? Basic, reading a file with a key. Or I've got a second one there, but that's the snippet. So now I can go into my source, select the snippet. It will come up there with exactly the source that you see in the second window. And you can step through and replace your variables, and it will replace them all, right? So a very quick way to build code from scratch. If you utilize snippets all the way down, you can customize them, you can create your own, and it means that your coding standards get adhered to, right? If your developers are using snippets to insert stuff, your source will now start to take on a standard look and feel, a good way to get your code moving forward, and a quick way to introduce maybe developers who are not up with the latest standards into things like, instead of creating a new subroutine, maybe this should be a procedure and a prototype. Start stepping through that. So fully customizable. You can load your own, person can create them. They're shared between everyone. Just a file to share around between all of the developers so they can keep them on their laptops, right? And we have methodologies, if you want to take these further, where you can store them on the server and distribute them down. But again, that's a step above the default My Workplace installation. We can obviously offer you the ability to compile once you've made your changes or created your new source member. Compile commands, we would have a default that would run, let's say, for every RPG LE, like in this instance, but you can also create customized commands for the object. So maybe for this nav test 3, if I don't want to run through the default crypt-bound RPG, I could create a specific command associated with nav test 3, and every time nav test 3 moves forward, I would use that same compile command, not the default. And again, all of those could be shared if you're running in a more distributed environment rather than a single developer working on his own. Going on from that, obviously there's a few more things that the developer needs to be able to do. We have the ability to work with your jobs on the system. So both your interactive jobs and your server jobs. So you can go through, check your jobs, you can answer messages, you can display the job log, you can do all of your troubleshooting from here without the need to drop into a second way of working. And to go along with that, same thing, right? You can work with all your spool files, just to enable you to go look at compilations and anything you've produced. When you compile through My Workplace, you get the results back on the compilation screen. So if you just want to look at your errors, they're listed. But if you need to go into a little more detail, you are able to pull up your spool file, look at the spool file, go through it, back into the source, correct it, recompile. So traditionally I'd run into a demo now, but I know we're a little short on time. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what we have out there. It's a very cost-effective version of an IDE for the IBM I. You can license it monthly, license it yearly. The licenses are able to be switched as well. So if you want to share a license, as long as only one seat is active on any one time, if you do very minimal development in your team, it's a very quick way to be able to share that license around, uninstall it or park it on laptop A, open it up on laptop B, second developer can use it, you can change it down again. There is an awful lot of information out on myworkplace.com. You can go to remainsoftware.com, or you can reach out to me directly. And I know Roger spoke at the start that we'd cover any questions off at the end. So rather than run through any now, I will pass it back to Mark. And thank you all for your time, and feel free to reach out with any questions.
Thanks, Carl. That was a great update, product announcement, as well as a demonstration. And here are some ways to get in touch with Carl, as well as Reen or MI Workplace, as you see fit. We now have you're welcome, Carl. So now we have we should have a few questions in here. We've got you've had some time here with Roger asking you to just put them into the console. So if anybody's got any questions right now, please drop them into the console, and we'll get around to addressing them. Have any arrived as of this point?
Yeah, there are a few.
Great.
And let me go through them. I guess the first one looks like it's probably for Carl. What is the price model for your product, and how does that compare to Rational's pricing?
So the price model in euros, 99 euros a year for a single seat license. So depending on what Rational pricing you get, that's less than 10% of the cost, right?
Yep.
Just
Okay.
sorry, John, just to finish that, maybe one more thing that I didn't mention there. We are constantly updating the product, right? There's a release every quarter. I think you mentioned right at the start that our new release comes out at the end of this month. So the product's constantly evolving. If you have a license, just go download the latest release. If you want all the goodies, will you pull the download whenever you're ready?
Terrific.
Thanks, John.
Next question for Roger, I guess. Has a date been set for the next conference?
We don't have a specific date, but we are anticipating that it will be in the spring of 2023. So it's about a year out, and that will give us time to get your feedback on what type of sessions you want, and to really let the user community take an active role in deciding what's in the conference. What we always like to do is make sure that these conferences are community based, and so we'll be doing in the webinars that are coming up over the next year. We're going to be asking you questions on what you would like to see in terms of content. So spring of 2023.
It'll be here before we know it, Roger.
Yes, it will. They really sneak up on us, especially for those of us who are so heavily involved in putting together the content. These things come up on us so fast. So I'm really, personally, I'm kind of glad that we've got just a little bit of time between now and then. If we were to try and do it in the fall of this year, we would really be scrambling to try and do that. So it really takes a full year to put these things together. So it'll be another great conference, though. I think they've all been good, and I don't see any reason why the next conference won't be every bit as good.
Okay. Another question.
Okay, next question here. Are you offering free tickets for speakers at the next conference?
Yes,
I would
can answer
anticipate that we will.
Roger.
Yeah, I mean, we always have in the past. I don't see why it would be any different. And the other thing that, of course, we're going to do is we're going to make that conference as affordable as it possibly can be. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that when we do the pricing for attending the conference, we're always shooting for break even is our best case scenario. We never make any money off of these conferences. And I don't see why the next conference will be any different. So we'll certainly do everything that we can to try and offer the conference as affordable as it possibly can be, and I still think it's the best value out there. If you look at everything that you get for your money on these conferences, it really is the best value in the industry.
Okay. Next question. We have been off TUI maintenance for over 5 years. Is it possible to get on TUI maintenance? I guess that's for Mark.
Yes, it is. No matter how long you've been off, there is an option to kind of get back in under the under the Broadcom banner. And if you just send me a message, either email me or message me through the Facebook group or through the LinkedIn group, I'll handle the request, and we'll go to bat for you right away.
Next question, I guess for Andrew. Is it possible to get blacklisted as a spammer using the Twilio integration?
They offer a lot of tools to they maintain your reputation. So they offer tools that would avoid you being flagged as a spammer. They also, in the tracking, there's a couple of statuses where SendGrid will actually stop the message going out if they detect anything that could be flagged as spam, so that you get a warning beforehand. So they do offer tools and features to prevent that from happening. Yeah.
Super. That's all I see right now.
Okay. Well, since we don't see any more questions right now, you can always send them to info@plextui.com if something comes up to you. Also, people that want to get in touch with me about renewals can do the same thing. info@plextui.com is a good neutral email address for us. So now it's time to go on to the last poll question for our audience. It's called Mints. We've used it a few times. Really helpful for the vendors that are doing the lightning talk as well too. If you would like to meet with anyone that you heard today, then you would respond with an M. And I means they'll introduce you to another leader, typically in your organization. In other words, you're not the right person to hear the audience, to be the audience for this, but you do know someone who is. N would be add me to the newsletter, which is really helpful. We have multiple newsletters that go out monthly for a number of different product areas and different types of interests. So if you want to know more about Evolve IT, then basically just this is your opportunity to tell us you want to get on the newsletter. We'll put you on the right one. And also the T means give a talk to another group. So we've gotten requests from that from other people and other user groups. And in fact, last month I got reacquainted with a couple of people who were talking about the old days with some of the regional groups in the Southeast and so forth too. So we don't have that anymore, but we have a worldwide community, and and we're proud to figure out how to serve you and what the best way is that you want to communicate with us as well too. So thank you. At this point, I wanted to thank you, my speakers. Thank you, Roger, especially for your fine efforts in terms of managing the user group. And that's all we have for now, folks. So but we'll be back with another webinar focused on TUI and Plex in the next quarter. Thank you. Have a great day and a great week.